Welcome to InfoHub. In our headlines, President Granger vows to bring perpetrators of crimes during the period of troubles to justice. 162 graduate from BNTF training programs and world-class protected area system for 2020. Stay tuned for the details of these and more. Daddy! And now for the details. At the opening of the annual officers' conference at Base Camp Guyana, the President David Granger vowed to bring to justice all deemed responsible for the Troubles period between 2002 and 2009. During most of the decade referred to by the head of state, Guyana witnessed its most intense, sustained wave of criminal violence since independence. Officially, there were 1,431 murders during that decade, and he noted that the previous PPP administration never bothered to account to the nation for the hundreds of lives lost. The president reminded that the PPP refused to conduct inquests into the assassination of Agriculture Minister Sash Saw at Lebon Intention, of the head of the police force's Target Special Squad, Leon Fraser, on the Linden-Swisdike Highway, the deputy head of the Canoe in Buxton, and the attempted assassination of the director of public prosecution in Kitty. It also refused to conduct inquiries into the massacres in Agricola, Bagatstong Eccles, Bartica, Border, Campbellville, Kitty, Lamaha Gardens, Lindo Creek, Lusignan, and elsewhere. The president stated a generation of Guyanese, which was an unwilling witness to criminal violence, has now grown up. The agony, anger, and alienation caused by violence against citizens, especially the innocent and the young, still simmer. The crimes have not been explained. The memories have not been erased, the president said. Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman says the government will release contracts with petroleum companies as part of its commitment to accountability and transparency in the oil and gas industry. Here is Tiffany Rodias.
We remain committed to releasing all contracts in the natural resources sector. I can say as well that the letters have gone out to the petroleum companies. They have all indicated, not all, but the responses received so far have been that there's no objection to the release, and so we are aiming to begin posting more contracts at the end of this month. Hopefully we will get one or two by next week. A word on local content policy. After several consultative sessions with stakeholders nationwide, the Ministry of Natural Resources received valuable feedback and suggestions on how to improve the draft local content policy framework. Again, recall that consultations were held with the GCCI, the Private Sector Commission, Chambers of Commerce from Essequibo, Berbice, and Linden, and we had received and have received from the expert at the end of 2017, in December of 2017, his latest iteration of that draft.
The ministry will begin releasing the contracts by the end of the month. The decision, Minister Trotman said, follows national interest in the new sector. Last year, the government released the production sharing agreement between itself and ExxonMobil. Meanwhile, addressing recent criticism in the local media of the Exxon contract, Minister Trotman noted that the concessions follow industry best practices and norms.
Countries invariably offer concessions to companies to come to their countries. It is done for bauxite, it is done for gold.
Minister Trotman reiterated the government's commitment to transparency and accountability in the industry. The government is in the process of creating legislations and policies to govern the oil and gas industry before oil production in 2020. For InfoHub, Tiffany Rogers.
162 persons on Wednesday graduated from 3 different skills training exercises facilitated by the Basic Needs Trust Fund, BNTF, under the auspices of the Finance Ministry. Crystal Stull has more.
Minister of Finance Winston Jordan commended the graduates and the program's facilitator for successfully completing the training exercises.
This 4-step, important as it is however not a guarantee that overnight your life will change or improve. You have to be willing to stay the course, to soldier on in spite of the obstacles that may be put in your way, and to continue to equip yourself with new and more advanced skills.
He reminded of the government's commitment to finding solutions to reduce unemployment in the country. Advisor on Youth Empowerment Aubrey Norton also commended the graduates and urged them to remain focused and always be forward-thinking in their future endeavors.
To you I say it's the beginning, but
you need to recognize that it's just that, a beginning. You need to develop for yourself a vision of where you want to go. You need to develop a plan to get there. You need to cultivate the habits that will ensure you succeed.
A total of 3 information technology skills training exercises were conducted in Victoria, Christiansburg, and Maibakuri, while 6 early childhood development training exercises were done in Dartmouth, Suddy, Anna Catherina, Ithaca, and Linden. 1 training program in music production was completed at the National School of Music. Crystal Stahl for InfoHub.
Residents of Handenveld, Mahaica are receiving water for the first time through an intervention by the Guyana Water Incorporated. More in this report.
In keeping with its mandate of delivering an efficient water supply to all homes across the country, GWI has expended $3.3 million to install pipelines in the Mahaica community of Handenveld. GWI East Coast Demerara engineer Carl Philadelphia said works that started last year were finalized yesterday for some residents.
We commenced this work last year and we wrap it up late December. As you notice that some person didn't manage to have their service into their home because of financial constraints and so, and they managed to get the paperwork and the money in place, and so we do the final installation.
The residents are currently receiving a 24-hour supply of approximately 5 pounds per square inch in water pressure. Plans are already in place to have this increase to 15 pounds per square inch. A resident, Lake Rambudu, noted that after 10 years, he can now receive water.
About 10 years now we live in this area, Antonveld. Lot 94 we there at now. And it's first time we get in this pipe. Basically, we using the black water all the time. So we need this pipe entirely because junior and children gotta go to school and things. You gotta wash them clothes, dirty and things, you know. The black water dangerous now. So basically, yes, we glad then we get in this pipe.
Other residents are relieved that they no longer have to resort to purchasing water or using treated creek water for their daily activities. GWI has already completed works in Anns Grove and is currently undertaking works in Sparn Dam, all geared towards providing residents with an efficient supply of potable water. Zanil Williams for InfoHub.
Regional Executive Officer of the Regional Democratic Council East Berbice Quarantine, Region 6, Kim Williams-Stevens said 2017 was a good year with 99% of both the current and capital expenditures utilized. Details from Stacey Carmichael.
Speaking on the sidelines of the recently concluded Action Roundtable for Regional Development 2018, hosted by the Ministry of Communities, REO Williams-Stevens explained the region's accomplishments for 2017.
In terms of accountability, transparency, equitable distribution of projects, it was a plus. Quality, when I first took office, I would have emphasized the need of the administration looking into not only costs of what is being bought, but as well as the quality.
The opening of farmlands in the Upper Quarantine and on the east bank of Berbice was highlighted as a major achievement for Region 6. Williams-Stevens said a number of canals were excavated, several bridges constructed, and measures put in place to ensure the development of a proper drainage and irrigation system. These interventions, she noted, impacted positively on the agriculture sector. The regional administration plans in 2018 to construct a new maternity ward at the New Amsterdam Hospital and an operating theatre at the Skeldon Hospital.
The number 66 creek is going to be dug, and this would benefit approximately 200 fishermen. So the region vision is to ensure that all residents in East Berbice Quarantine continue not only to enjoy services, but continue to enjoy effectively.
The REO guaranteed that emphasis will be placed on enhancing the skills of the RDC's human resources with the goal of delivering quality services to all citizens in a timely and efficient manner. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
The National Protected Areas Commission's vision is to have a world-class National Protected Areas system by the year 2020. Stacey Carmichael tells us that steps are being taken to achieve this goal.
Commissioner of the Protected Areas Commission, PAC, Denise Fraser, said the agency has been utilizing the Management Effectiveness Tracking Tool to efficiently manage protected areas. The first baseline study was conducted during the latter part of 2014, and since then, Fraser noted that each year an assessment is done to monitor progress.
In the area of research and ecological monitoring, this was one of the areas that we had planned in 2017 to really roll out a monitoring program in each of the protected areas. But because of the budgetary constraints, we were not able to really roll it out, but we were able to get some funding from WWF to do an overflight of Kaieteur National Park, the report from which resulted in an enforcement exercise.
A U.S. $5 million agreement was signed with the German government for Phase 3 of the Guyana Protected Areas Project, known as GPAS 3, in September 2016. However, Fraser said a major challenge was the tedious process of acquiring approval for the establishment of a bank account so that the PAC can receive its first disbursement under the project. Minister of State Joseph Harmon committed to having this and other matters addressed.
And there's quite a lot here to be done, and some of the interventions that's required. I'd like to identify those so that I can take those up with the relevant minister or the National Procurement and Tender Board Administration.
In addition, the PAC has developed a database for site-level reporting, which will be rolled out this year. Partnerships and stakeholder participation are being encouraged, with the PAC consistently building relationships with the regional administrations close to protected areas. For InfoHub, Stacey Carmichael.
More than 700 successful businesses were created under the Hinterland Employment and Youth Service. Sanika Thorne has our final report.
The indigenous populace can now boast 766 young entrepreneurs following the successful implementation of the government's Hinterland Employment and Youth Service program. Minister Valerie Guridolo explained that the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs is monitoring the businesses to ensure they are sustained. She said that once there is need for additional support, there will be provided.
They thought that, after the grant and whatnot, and the facilitators, the community facilitators stopped teaching them and so on, that the ministry would forget about them. But that is not so. We have been out in the fields, his staff, it's a purely field staff. They visit everywhere, over the water, over the mountain, creeks and everywhere, to get to these his participants and let them know that the ministry is here to support them.
Minister Guridolo said that the program also served as a startup for youths to pursue their dreams, and several of them have opted to further their education at higher institute of learning.
We had some go in and become health workers and so on, and some wanted to go to Kurukuru, so we're arranging all of that. Different, they want to be X-ray technician. Remember, all of them would not want to start businesses, but the great thing about it, they are getting the support of their families. So what they're doing is, while they go off to become soldier or health worker and so on, they're actually leaving their small business in the hands of their parents and their sisters or their family to continue, especially if they have a child or two, so that can earn, bring in an income and support the family or their mother and father while they go off and, pursue their dream.
The Hinterland Employment and Youth Service program is geared at empowering some 400 indigenous youth in close to 212 hinterland communities. Sanika Thorne, InfoHub.
Please be reminded that January has been designated Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. Women 21 years and older are reminded to have their pap smears done, since early detection saves lives. Thanks for watching. Remember to connect with us 24/7 on our website and social media. Goodbye.